I've got my seat concept seat. Do not use blade, it says, so that means rip it the hell off. Yeah. Let's see what we got here. Seat Concepts is a kit which uses your original pan and replaces with their foam and cover. I have had such incredible luck with these people in the past, so hopefully this is going to be the same. It's all cut, all nicely edged, everything else. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to run this down to my local upholsterer and see if he can do it quick and inexpensively, and if not, then I'm just prepared to go ahead and do it myself. I've done the last couple myself. The upholsterer just does it a little quicker and everything. This is just a forward seat section for the Himalayan, and I look forward to trying this baby out. We'll get a full report. Well, I got my new Seat Concept seat kit here. They were very kind to get me very quickly. Seems to be really well made. It has a nice surface to it. Now, I've never had a real problem with the Royal Himalayan seat. This is probably the first seat change I'm ever going to do where it was just absolutely not necessary. I've gone through a lot of Sargent seats, Corbins, Russell Daylongs. I really liked a Saddleman I had on one bike, but my favorite conversion ever has been, in multiple bikes, has been the Seat Concept seat, which doesn't come as a seat. It comes as a preformed foam with a cover to put on, and you use your original pan. So we'll take out the staples and replace this. Actually, this is going to be the first time that I'm going to use an upholsterer to do this. I've done this before on my own, and it wasn't that bad, but I'm going to just have them do this. They told me $50, and I said, let's do it. So anyway, I just want to do a quick comparison. You can see it's a little bit wider, and the main difference between a factory seat and one of these custom seat is the dish in here. These roll over, and after a while they're like sitting on a log. This is, I will give it to the Himalayan, this is a very decent seat for me. It's got a little dipping here. It runs you forward, which it should. It has a nice back support. The one thing you want is, on mine, I don't want to get taller, and we'll take a look at this from the side view. And although it can get a little bit taller, we want to make sure it still stays narrow here, because this is how you're going to get your feet on the ground. So we're going to go ahead and move the camera around and get a little side view of this and do some comparison there. Also going to sit on it so you can see how it fits me. I am 5'7", 145 pounds. Not a real big guy, but let's take a look at it from the side here. So as we go over here, see, thickness wise, this is, you can't, I don't know if you can really see it, but it would appear to me that it's no thicker. Now, they do have a tall version of this from Seat Concepts. For people that are a little taller than me, want to be a little bit higher, I'm that vertically challenged thing that wants to be able to get my feet down. But the nice thing here is this right at the very front is as narrow, at least as narrow, maybe a little bit narrow, probably about the same size. But that's an important thing if you're shorter. Not so much that it is super narrow, but it narrows right down in this area while giving a lot of butt support back here. So we're going to kick those out of the way, climb on this for a second. You see, the Himalayan fits me pretty well. I can get my feet on the ground. I can't quite flat foot. If I move way forward, I can almost do it, because it does get quite narrower in this area here. This kind of bike, anything off-road, you're going to spend a lot of time up here. This doesn't interfere in your legs, doesn't cause you any problems, allows you to be comfortable. This bike really doesn't need any risers or anything for me. You should be able to stand comfortably, grip the tank if you need to, sit back if you need to, shift your weight around. And the seat really isn't a factor there. As we sit down on it, having that extra width here, because I do overhang this, and I don't have a big wide bottom, but I do overhang this a bit, so it'll be nice to have a little bit more support there. I've done a lot of long distance motorcycle riding, and initially I thought it really was down to the seat. One of the things I remember, Kevin Cameron from one of the motorcycle magazines wrote an article on what makes a good long distance motorcycle, and the important thing is being able to move your weight, transfer your weight. And as he postulated, and I agree strongly, you should be able to put no more than your fingertips on your handlebars just to stabilize, and you should be able to stand up comfortably from that. If you can do this, you can be comfortable on just about any seat on any motorcycle. If you've got a sport bike and this is where your handlebars are, you can't do that. You'll fall forward. If you've got that cruiser thing up there, I don't care how good your seat is. When you can't get your weight off your butt, that's it. So one of the important things in long distance riding, and I'm kind of diverting from the seat thing, and I'm actually unselling the seats, but one of the things in long distance riding that's important in making anything comfortable is that we do keep a lot of downward pressure on the pegs at all times, really. At the end of a long, 600-700 mile day, this is what you're going to be doing. Oh, get my butt off of here. If you're just doing that throughout the day, building up the strength in your legs, doing a slight hover, and not lifting yourself off, occasionally lifting yourself off completely, letting some circulation in there, just about any seat will suffice. I hear people suffering when they don't really need to. But anyway, I'm yapping enough. We're going to get this down to the upholsterers in a couple days, and then I'm going to take a couple 100-mile ride and give you my thoughts on it. I've been, I put 1,500 miles on this in the last month or so, so I got a pretty good baseline on what the seat is like. So we'll take it from there. Well, unfortunately, after taking my seat down to the upholsterer, they were too busy today. This guy is super busy. I kind of saw that coming. So the seat is off now and in the house, and we are going to do this per the instructions and do it ourselves. Let's go get it done. These are actually surprisingly short little staples. I got 3/8 and 5/16, and these are more like quarter. So hopefully I won't penetrate too deep or the gun will be stiff enough. But the first thing we need to do is just remove these staples. Probably needle nose pliers might work well. I just get a little steak knife under here and give it a little twist. They're hard to get right under. And I'm trying not to tear up this old cover too much because, some people may want to see, some people may tear theirs. I can give one away later. Happy to help somebody out. But we'll do the little tedious task of removing the staples. Okay, we'll take this little bracket off and we'll continue from there. Okay, I think we have all the staples out of here now. So we're just going to, I took this forward bracket off this end. Let me peel this cover back. And it looks like we missed one. I tried this with screwdrivers, a few other things. The other thing I found is don't try to pull both ends at once. Just rotate it up and pull it with the pliers. And we'll take the cover off. So perhaps another Himalayan rider will need that at some point, or maybe I will. They say this is well glued on. We're going to find out. I'm trying not to destroy this foam taking it off. I mean, I don't think that I'm going to need it, but you never know. So, off with the foam, off with the heads. Yeah, I can tell this is going to take a minute. Being careful not to destroy it, so not bore you with that. Well, after a good deal of work and a few choice words, we were not real successful. The glue they use on this is substantial, so the foam did not survive well. We are therefore committed to the new seat, which I really not concerned about. I was just trying to be helpful with the old one. So this is what the pan looks like. Well shaped, solid. we will go ahead and grab the instructions and try to follow those as closely as possible, and put the Seat Concepts foam kit on there. My dog Wolf. Okay, with the little bit of spray adhesive we put onto the foam here, Gorilla brand. That was an advertisement. I hope they send me like $10 million. We place this in inverted, and we're making sure it's nice and well centered. It seems to fit this pan very well. And there's a little bit of foam overlap all over the place, so we got a little bit to work with. I want to make sure that we don't have any, there we go. We want to make sure we don't have any raw plastic edges exposed, so that we're feeling those on our legs at some point in the future. This comes with a plastic barrier. They say you can take it off or leave it on. Don't leave it on if it's a bucket seat, but I think it's probably a good idea. I don't know if you call this a bucket or not. We're going to leave this on there because I hate it when foam gets wet and it makes your butt dry or butt wet. Incidentally, I did a compression test with the old foam, and initially this feels about the same, but this has a much more variable rate. As you start to push down, it starts to resist more. So I can feel that being a little bit more comfort right away, just in the foam composition. So, all right, we've got this centered on here. I'm going to go grab a heat gun. They recommend sitting this outside and letting the cover warm up a little bit to be a little more flexible. I've done a lot of vinyl wrapping, so I'm going to use the heat gun to warm it up. Besides, it's Florida in February, so it's only like 49 degrees, you know, which is like freezing for us. We're nearly ready to die. So I'm going to go grab the heat gun. We're going to warm this up. We're going to start stretching this on and stapling and see how it goes. All right, you can see here we've got this foam. We've got a plastic barrier, and then we've got the cover itself. So we're going to position this cover. Stretch it out just a bit. It is tacked down here at this flow point all the way through, so that you don't have to worry about lining that up. Bring this around. Center these seams up. As you know, I want to bias it toward the rear a little bit there. I want to bring this seam right to the top there. So that's probably where I'm going to start with my first staple. Is I want to position this so that this ridge is at the high point and it looks good. Not that I know what I'm doing, but we're gonna do this way. Stretch that here. And just start this process right there. Boom. All right, let's warm this up again here. Let's cool off a little bit. And this does make a difference. This really softens it up a fair amount. And looking at positioning all around. It's going to be a little bit of a challenge, and if you could take this to an upholsterer, that's probably the best. But I say, hopefully I can use some of my wrapping skills to hold this in place. And we're going to go to the front next, and I'm not going to bore you with this whole process, but we'll go to the front next, which seems a little bit long. There we go. Okay, we want to put that right there, and we'll take it from there. Okay, I've got this pretty well positioned, and I've got some tacking down here. I'm going to go ahead and put this bracket back on, since I've got it tacked underneath there, and trial fit before I continue. So I find if there's any interference. The one thing I found, everything seems to line up well. Everything, this is bowing out a little bit, but I had this on my V-Strom as well, and this is just going to take a little bit to settle in. I may be able to pull a little tighter here. Things are going on pretty good. The front is very challenging. There seems to be a little excess in the fabric, and I have to pull a fair amount underneath. We're going to see what that all looks like in the end. And these can be variations in the seat pan. It can be variations in whatever. I certainly can't blame seat concepts because I'm not a great upholsterer. But we'll see how this goes. So I'm going to go ahead and trial fit this before I do much more finishing, and then I'll come back, put a lot more staples in, trim up all these edges, and we'll see where we are from there. But so far it's fitting pretty well. The front's been a little challenging. But I did find when I did a couple other seats before that these kind of little wrinkles here tended to just settle out with a little bit of time. So hopefully that as well. But I'm fairly happy with this. We're going to go ahead and try it on, and then we're going to come back and finish. Yeah, like I said, a quick fitting there. I just ran out there and tried that on. It fits just fine. Even sat on it for a second, and oh my tushy, it feels much better. So we're going to continue from here. This front's a little messy. I'm going to clean that up as much as I can. But what I saw is the way this fits up to the tank, it really doesn't matter what you do with it as long as we get a nice line there. So I'm going to pull a little more of this fabric under, not worry about the seam. I had been worried because the seam was tucking under, but it's not really a visible thing. This seam is riding right on the back edge as it should. These are on the edges. All of this looks good. I pulled this in a little tight to make sure that I keep my leg area small. But I think it's going to work out. We'll just go ahead and finish this up. Okay, so I have trimmed the edges on the inside, reshot a few of these staples. I wish I had a pneumatic gun. Some of them weren't all the way down, but they came out pretty well. Little wrinkle here, but I don't know that I can do anything about that. And this looks like it's just going to mold and fit with a little bit of time. Front end came out much better than I was thinking it might. The seam comes along here. Bottom line is I am not an upholsterer. They wanted $50 and figured a half hour to do this. I spent $41 at Home Depot on 3/8 and 5/16 T50 staples. I would go with the 3/8. The 5/16 were a little light at some time. And, you know, your good old Arrow staple gun. 41 bucks. I had a total time from removing this seat until now exactly 1 hour. So I'm not unhappy with it. I'm not an upholsterer. I've done a couple of these before, but I will say that the V-Strom seat is much easier than Himalayan. This is a little complex nose piece, but if I can do it, anybody can do it. Don't be afraid to pull the staples and just reposition it and do it again. But I'm fairly happy with this. We're going to go put it on the bike, see how it fits. We did a little stand-up, sit-down on it the other day, and we'll try and do a comparison. So anyway, this is it. Seat concept seat. Seat concept. Start on here now. The only thing I can see is this is quite a bit darker than the old seat. That stands out a little bit. There's a little more of a gap here than there was, but that's just the fitting. I've got to say this looks pretty darn nice. Let me see if I can get you an up close view here. I guess a little gap here, but that's no big deal at all. Front end came out okay. I got a little wrinkle here, but then, you know, if I look at it here, they got a little wrinkling on here, so it's considerably wider here. This looks tucked in. We're gonna sit on it, see how it feels. Climb on. Oh yeah. Tushy happy. Yeah. I can feel this all the way up the edge. It's much more comfortable. Height seems good. It's a little wider farther forward until you get all the way up. When you get all the way up, I'd say we're about the same as we were before. I can flat foot one side or the other, which is pretty much what I could before. But it's certainly more comfortable in the back. Only one way we're going to tell. Well, a quick trip around the block in this you know, cool day. Didn't tell me much, but it's noticeably more comfortable right away. Um, it's gonna warm up in a couple days, so I'm gonna conclude this and foreshadow that I'm gonna write it down to the Everglades as soon as it warms up a little bit and get some alligator pictures and all of that. So hopefully that'll be the next upcoming video, and we will talk about how it was in the long-term comfort. There's probably about 400 or 500 mile ride. Well, maybe not that long, but 300. We'll give it a try, see how it is, and get back to you. But I mean, my immediate impression, much more comfortable, much more comfortable, much more supportive. It's got more width to it. The cushion is just right. And I've been happy with Seat Concepts seats, and I continue to be. So I'm not their spokesman. I'm not paid for this or anything like that, but they are a good seat. I should not definitely be the demonstration of how to install one, but it can be done on your own. If you can't find an upholsterer, if an upholsterer will cut you a deal, I would go that route. It's a complex little nose piece on this, but they'd probably tell you it's simple. Anyway, I'm much better at vinyl wrapping. We're going to vinyl wrap the tank because I've decided I think I want the thing to be black instead of white for a while, but I never like to change the color, and that actually preserves the paint very well. So foreshadowing again, another video coming up in the future. So I hope you'll like, subscribe, and all of that good junk. And